Welcome to the Luminous Shabda Corner, everybody. Today I'm going to speak about the subject of satsang. We've received questions about the topic, and so I'm going to give teachings on the meaning of satsang. The first question that came to mind was, what is satsang? Satsang, the word itself, derives from the root in Sanskrit, as, which is written A-S, us. And that root means to be or to become. To be or become. And so sangha is a gathering. So satsanga is really the gathering on the point of beingness, gathering on the point of light and on the point of truth. You see in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, he talks about the yamas, and he gives the teaching that satya is the second yama. So satya means truth, and it also derives from the same root. Us, beingness, leads to truth, and satsang is the gathering of people in the common colloquial sense in our world today. It is used in yoga centers as a term for gathering on the point of teachings, which then lead you to the experience of truth in yourself, and the truth being the beingness that we all already are, and being in contact with that ground of being and that light. The next question is, how is satsang valuable for a yogi in training? If you look at it, it's talking about how is gathering on a regular point, in a sort of gathering of people, valuable when you're studying the topics of truth and light. What is valuable about that? And what's valuable is that it's important for people to gather and to create community together and to study the teachings from the perspective of yogi's perspective, so to kind of gather and read about, study, contemplate, and to have a forum where they can ask questions and they can dialogue. It's a place where you can hone your skills, your skill of going inward. You're with a group of people who are also thirsty to know themselves, so it's very supportive, and satsang is a critical element for developing your yogic practice. Another question that came to us was, how do you support satsang in your everyday life? It's a very good question. Truth is, satsang supports you in your everyday life. Satsang literally means that connection you cultivate with beingness. So the more you cultivate that through gathering with like-minded people, the more you experience that in your daily life. You start to see satsang everywhere. Everything becomes an entry point for further self-discovery and further exploration on the teachings. It may be that you're working on, let's say, the teaching on satya one week. You may be working another week on a specific sutra. You may be working for an entire year on a particular subject, like how do I develop grounding in my practice? But all of these are just different components that come under the umbrella of satsang, and there's many, many more. How you support it in your life is by engaging this idea of beingness. So for a while it feels like it's an idea. It's an idea of beingness. It's sort of something outside of us. But as we work with the teaching more and more, and as we go to satsangs, and as we engage yogic practice, it doesn't become something foreign to us. Real practice is never foreign from you. It's not something apart from you. It's something deep inside of you. And by re-engaging it, by remembering it, by sitting with the questions, by being observant in your life, and by being deeply self-reflexive, and really questioning your own experience, and then questioning that against, is that the meaning that's being made? That's really cultivating satsang in your life. Another question that came to us: how do you build satsang in your life if you don't live close to a teacher or a community? Nowadays, there are so many communities. There's so many opportunities for you to study. With technology expanding, there are teleclasses, webinars, there's so many doorways. So I think that's one thing. And I also think that part of really good study is seeing the glass half full and not half empty. Guruji talks about it in his Fundamentals of Yoga book in chapter 5. You have to have a positive attitude. You cannot be constantly negative. It's one of his rules for the experience of yoga, for the fundamentals of yoga. So you have to have great faith in that, and that you will develop that, and that with your sincerity you will draw the teachings and the proper teachers towards you. And it will absolutely happen. It is assured because you are already that. It's just a question of it settling in your life, the teachings settling in your life. But one way you can sort of support that is by really developing steadiness and regularity with your practice, and not seeing your life as something separate from your practice, but really looking at your life, your relationships, your family relationships, your friendships, your experiences at your job, looking at them with a yogic eye, and really seeing them as practice points for your evolution as an incarnated being. That really starts to support the development of satsang in your life. So the last question in the series on satsang is, how can I, as a student, positively contribute to satsang and its growth? And I really love this question because I think this is the way yogis think. And yogis in training really want to align with the vision of yogis. A yogi does not think what I didn't get. A yogi thinks, how can I contribute? How can I contribute to the healing? How can I contribute to the goodness? How can I bring about more auspicious light? When you have strength, you think in this manner, how can I contribute? And that doesn't mean that if you have psychological issues that need processing, that you don't do that, and that if you didn't feel you got certain things, that you don't sort of work to heal that in yourself. So I'm not discounting that at all. But it does say that real strength has the floor underneath it. And it's extremely enriching to support. In fact, we don't realize the gift we get by giving. That said, you can really support the satsang by supporting not only the teacher, which everybody likes to do, but supporting each other in the satsang, supporting your fellow satsangis or your fellow students, looking for places that you can support. You can ask questions. You know, one time I remember Gurji's best friend, he had been with him for many years, his name is George. And Gurji would say, does anybody have any questions? And lots of new people would be afraid to ask questions because it was all very new. So one thing I noticed he did was he would raise his hand and he would ask these questions that he knew that new people would really benefit from hearing. And so that was a very, very lovely thing that he did, and really supported the satsang. But you can look for ways to contribute and look at the gifts that you have and see how can I make an offering and support the growth and the blossoming of these beautiful teachings in the world. Thank you so much, everybody. I've enjoyed spending this time with you, and I look forward to seeing you in satsang very soon. Be blessed. Shivaste, Santu Bandhana.